What you see around you right now is nothing more than the echo of past thoughts, old beliefs, and yesterday's assumptions. It is a photograph of a moment long gone, a snapshot of a mind you no longer have to live with. The greatest error you can make is to look at this picture and call it truth. The truth is not what is before your eyes. The truth is what you hold in the quiet of your imagination. The truth is the scene you dare to inhabit, the story you choose to tell yourself. The world will show you the reflection of your inner state, but only after a delay. So if you want tomorrow to look different, you must stop letting today dictate how you feel. Ignore your reality. It will try to speak loudly. It will wave its hands and demand your attention. It will tell you what's real, what's possible, and what's likely. But reality is a poor prophet. It only knows the past. You are the creator of the future. So just keep assuming. Assume that the desire is already fulfilled. Walk through your days as the one who has already received it. When you wake up in the morning, feel the satisfaction of it. When you go to bed at night, rest in the comfort of it. Let your assumption be more real to you than any circumstance. At first, your senses will argue. They will show you a bank account you don't like, a relationship you don't yet have, a body you wish were different. Smile at these things, for they are only the fading remnants of a life you have outgrown. Do not fight them, do not fear them, just ignore them. Then keep living in the end. Keep seeing yourself where you wish to be, not where you are. Keep feeling the joy as if it were already yours. If you persist in this way, the old reality will crumble, and the new one, your chosen one, will rise to take its place. Your only task is to hold to the vision. Everything else is a distraction. Ignore your reality and keep assuming. What stands before you in this moment is not a measure of your worth, your potential, or your destiny. It is simply a reflection of what you once believed, once felt, once assumed about yourself and the world. Every circumstance you see right now is the result of old mental patterns, thoughts that have already done their work. It is the past wearing the costume of the present. And just like the shadow on the ground lags behind the person who casts it, your current reality lags behind your inner state. You must understand, the present conditions are not telling you who you are, but who you were. They are echoes, delayed responses, fragments of an old script you've already outgrown. And if you allow yourself to judge your future based on this shadow, you will chain yourself to a cycle that repeats endlessly. This is why it is so vital to stop reacting to what is and start creating from what will be. Your outer world is always one step behind your inner world. By the time you can see, hear, or touch a thing, it has already been set in motion by an earlier state of mind. This means that whatever displeases you right now is not your enemy. It is simply outdated. Like an old photograph, it no longer represents your living truth. The danger comes when you forget this and begin to emotionally engage with what you dislike. The moment you give it your attention, your fear, or your frustration, you begin planting the seeds to experience more of it. The wise creator does not take present circumstances as an instruction for how to feel. They know that feelings are the blueprint of tomorrow. So they refuse to let the current picture dictate their mood. Instead, they withdraw their focus from the unwanted and place it firmly on the unseen vision they have chosen. They treat the present like a letter that was mailed weeks ago. It has already been written. They know that if they want a different letter tomorrow, they must write something new today. When you understand this, life changes. You no longer panic when something unwanted appears because you know it is already on its way out. You no longer rush to fix the outer because you know the inner has already taken care of it. You stop begging circumstances to change and instead tend to the only thing that truly matters, your state of being. This is the power of detachment from the old. You don't fight it, you don't hate it, you simply recognize that it's not current, not alive, not defining you anymore. You thank it for its message. It is here to show you where you once stood, and then you move on. You live mentally from the place you wish to be, and you hold to it with quiet persistence. In time, the old fades away entirely, and the world catches up to the self you have already become. Then you'll see with your own eyes, reality was never telling you the truth, it was only telling you the past. Everything begins in the unseen. Before any event unfolds, before any change is witnessed, before any dream becomes tangible, it exists in the quiet realm of thought and belief. The invisible always comes first. Your mind is the soil, and every assumption you hold is a seed planted deep within it. Whether you plant seeds of fear or seeds of faith, they will take root. Whether you nurture visions of lack or visions of abundance, they will grow. The world you walk through is nothing more than the harvest of what you have been growing inside. The mistake most people make is to judge life only by what they can see. They forget that what is visible is already the end of a process, not the beginning. The tree is not born when you notice it. It began long ago as a seed beneath the surface. Likewise, the success, the love, the health you desire will not appear out of nowhere. It is born the moment you assume it is already yours, the moment you feel the reality of it in your inner world. This is why you must be intentional with the seeds you plant. Every thought charged with emotion, every assumption you accept as truth, is dropped into the fertile soil of your subconscious, and once it's planted, it grows, whether you notice it or not. If you spend your days replaying fears, expecting disappointment, or believing in limitations, you are watering weeds. These weeds do not ask your permission to grow. They thrive in the attention you give them, but you have the choice to plant something different. You can choose to assume that your desire is already a reality. You can choose to hold that assumption as if it were sacred, tending to it daily with your thoughts and feelings. When doubt appears, you refuse to feed it. When appearances contradict your vision, you remind yourself that they are simply the remnants of old seeds, and you let them pass without attention. It is not your job to dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing. In fact, doing so only delays the process. Your task is to water it with belief, to keep the soil warm with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and to protect it from the weeds of fear and frustration. The harvest will come in its own time. You cannot rush the unfolding any more than you can force a flower to bloom before it is ready. When you truly grasp this, you stop living as a victim of circumstances. You stop being fooled by the outer world because you know the invisible comes first. The moment you claim it within, the seed is planted, the harvest is inevitable. So stop tending to weeds. Stop feeding the unwanted with your attention. Instead, water your seed with faith, nurture it with gratitude, and trust that what you cannot yet see is already alive beneath the surface, growing into the life you have chosen. The moment you decide what you want, your task is not to wait for proof. It is to live from the end as if the desire were already fulfilled. The greatest mistake is to stand still, scanning the world for signs, measuring progress by outer changes. This keeps you in a state of waiting, and waiting only creates more waiting. Instead, you must step into the role now, mentally and emotionally embodying the person who already has the thing you desire. You cannot think of yourself as poor and expect to live in wealth. You cannot see yourself as unloved and expect to be cherished. You cannot carry the feeling of someday and expect the gift to arrive today. What you hold in your mind and heart becomes your reality. Not what you wish for in the distance, but what you claim in the present. When you assume it's done, you stop approaching your desire as a request and start approaching it as a fact. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe through sheer willpower. It is about entering into a state of being where you naturally feel the truth of your assumption. You do this by asking yourself, if I already had it, how would I think? How would I walk? How would I speak to others? How would I treat myself? Then you live according to those answers, even if your senses try to convince you otherwise. At first, this may feel strange, because your outer reality will still carry the residue of the old state. But do not be discouraged. Outer conditions are slow to catch up. They are the shadow, not the substance. The substance is the inner state you hold unwaveringly. Your mind is the director, the world is the stage. The moment you accept the role inwardly, the scene begins to change outwardly. Do not wait for circumstances to give you permission to feel successful, happy, loved, or abundant. Decide to feel it now. When you live from that inner certainty, the world will mirror it back to you in ways you could never predict. Opportunities will arise, people will respond differently, and events will arrange themselves in your favor, not because you forced them, but because you aligned with the version of you who already lives in that reality. The key is persistence. You cannot step into the role for an hour and then return to doubt for the rest of the day. Hold the state as naturally as you hold your own name. Carry it in your posture, your words, and your inner dialogue. If you fall into old patterns, gently return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you assume as if it's done, you collapse the gap between desire and experience. You are no longer someone trying to get there, you are someone who is already there in consciousness, and the world has no choice but to follow. The evidence will appear, but only after you've stopped looking for it and started living from it. There will always be voices, some from others, some from within, that try to tell you what is possible and what is not. They will measure your potential by your current situation, by your past failures, or by their own limited vision. If you allow these voices to dictate your thinking, you will find yourself trapped in the same reality they believe in. The truth is, those outer opinions and visible circumstances are powerless unless you give them power through your attention and acceptance. The outer voice often comes disguised as common sense, practical advice, or just being realistic. But what it is really doing is binding you to the known and the visible, keeping you from stepping into the unseen, where your desire is already alive. If you want to create something new, you must learn to silence these outer voices. You do not silence them by arguing or convincing others to agree with you. You silence them by withdrawing your mental and emotional energy from their words. Your senses too will try to persuade you. They will present you with facts, numbers, and images that seem immovable. They will whisper, "Look, nothing has changed. This is your reality." But your senses are reporters of the past, not prophets of the future. They can only confirm what has already been created through your previous states of mind. If what you see and hear contradicts your desire, remind yourself that it is only the fading echo of old beliefs. This is why inner discipline is so important. You must become the guardian of your own mind. When doubt tries to speak, you gently turn your attention back to the vision you've chosen. When fear presents its case, you refuse to sit in its courtroom. When people insist that you are foolish for believing in what they cannot see, you silently bless them and return to your inner knowing. The power to manifest is not found in convincing the world to support your dream. It is found in convincing yourself so completely that the world has no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. This is why you must not let the noise of others or the evidence of your senses shake your conviction. Every moment you allow yourself to be swayed by the outer world, you water the seeds of doubt. But every moment you hold fast to your chosen assumption, you strengthen the roots of your new reality. There will be times when the silence feels lonely, when it seems easier to agree with the loudest voice or to surrender to the facts. But remember, every great change begins in solitude, in the quiet place where belief is nurtured without interference. So guard that place, protect it. Keep it free from the weeds of doubt and fear. Ignore the doubters. Ignore the circumstances. Ignore even the reports of your own senses if they disagree with your desire. The only voice that matters is the one within you that says, "It is done." To live in the end is to anchor yourself in the state of your wish already fulfilled, making it so real within that it becomes the place you live from, rather than the place you hope to reach. Most people live their lives always moving toward their desires, imagining them as distant goals that will happen someday, if circumstances align. But when you live in the end, you remove the distance. You claim the end result now, in thought and feeling, and you let that state define your decisions, your actions, and your inner dialogue every single day. The key is to make this end state your mental home, not a fleeting daydream you visit occasionally, but a dwelling place you return to in every moment. Just as your physical home surrounds you with familiarity, comfort, and a sense of belonging, your mental home in the end result must give you that same feeling of certainty and stability. You are not wishing for it anymore. You are living it now. Thinking toward the desire keeps it in the future. It says, "I'm not there yet, but one day I will be." This posture of waiting only reinforces separation between you and your desire. Thinking from the desire, however, assumes you are already there. It says, "I am this now. I have this now. It is mine now." From that position, your actions, words, and expectations naturally align with the reality you have claimed. When you make the end your home, you stop reacting to the old world as if it still has authority over you. If your bank account does not yet reflect wealth, you do not panic. You know you are already the person who lives in abundance, and so the numbers must eventually match that truth. If you have not yet seen evidence of the relationship you desire, you do not despair. You know you are already loved, chosen, and cherished in the reality you have chosen to inhabit. The challenge for most is persistence. It's easy to visit the end when you feel good, but to live there daily requires discipline. Outer conditions will tempt you to leave that place, to step back into doubt, to measure your progress by what you see, but you must refuse. You must return again and again to your end state until it feels more real than anything your senses can report. Over time, this mental home becomes second nature. You stop looking for signs because you no longer need them. You are living the reality within yourself so completely that the outer must eventually conform. And when it does, it will feel natural, as though it was always yours. Living in the end daily is not pretending. It is choosing your truth and dwelling in it until the world catches up. Make your final wish your home, and soon the outer world will deliver the exact address you have been living at in your mind. Persistence is the quiet, unwavering decision to hold to your chosen assumption, regardless of what the world shows you. It is the understanding that the outer world is slow to reflect inner change, and that during this delay, the old reality may still appear strong, solid, and unshakable. Many people abandon their vision in this waiting period, thinking nothing is happening, when in truth everything is already in motion beneath the surface. The old reality is like a shadow. It lingers for a while even after the light has shifted. Just because you cannot yet see the new conditions does not mean they are not on their way. In fact, the very moment you have assumed your desire as true, the process of creation begins. But if you look for constant proof, you pull yourself out of the state that makes fulfillment inevitable. Proof is the harvest. Assumption is the seed. The seed does not need you to keep digging it up. It needs you to trust. It will grow. Persistence means living in your chosen reality even when the evidence screams otherwise. It means refusing to let the temporary appearance of the old state dictate how you feel or what you believe. This is not stubbornness for its own sake. It is loyalty to the vision you have chosen. When the outer contradicts you, you do not argue with it. You simply ignore it and return to the inner world, where the desire is already fulfilled. There will be times when nothing seems to be moving. You may feel like you are standing still while your vision remains far away. In those moments, remember that movement is happening in ways you cannot yet perceive. The world of form is rearranging itself, people and events are aligning, and unseen doors are preparing to open. Your only job is to keep the inner state alive, to remain the person who already has what they desire, even in the absence of proof. Persistence is also a test of faith. Not faith in luck or chance, but faith in the law that the inner creates the outer. If you know this to be true, there is no reason to give in to impatience or doubt. Time becomes irrelevant because the outcome is certain. The only variable is whether you will hold your assumption long enough for it to solidify into fact. When you persist, you become unshakable. You no longer chase proof because you understand it must appear. You stop measuring your progress by what is visible and start measuring it by your ability to remain in the state you have chosen. And then, one day, the world bends to your assumption so naturally that it feels as if it could never have been any other way. The old reality fades like a dream, and the new one stands before you, not because you demanded proof, but because you persisted until proof had no choice but to arrive. In the end, the power to transform your life lies not in reacting to what you see, but in mastering what you assume. Reality, as it stands today, is nothing more than the echo of past beliefs, a delayed reflection of states you no longer need to accept. The invisible comes first, for every change begins in the unseen realm of thought and feeling. By assuming as if your desire is already done, silencing the outer voices, living in the end daily, and persisting without the need for proof, you position yourself as the true creator of your experience. The world may resist at first. The illusion of the old may seem stubborn, but if you hold your assumption with faith and persistence, reality will bend. It always does. Your role is not to chase, beg, or plead. It is to choose, believe, and remain. The inner must be honored before the outer can reflect it, and the moment you live from your chosen state, the rest becomes inevitable. Stay loyal to your vision, ignore what contradicts it, and trust that what you have claimed within is already yours. The world will catch up. Thank you for listening.